There's something about sleepovers that makes people brave. Maybe it's the comfort of a friend nearby, the junk food and laughter masking the dark, or the idea that nothing really bad happens when you're not alone. But night has rules, and sometimes we break them. In this episode of Glow of the Dead, we bring you 5 terrifying true tales from sleepovers that went horribly wrong. Stories of whispers in crawl spaces, mirrors that don't reflect what they should, and things that show up in sleeping bags that no one brought. So grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and try not to look at the hallway. If you love horror stories based on familiar places, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel Glow of the Dead, because when the night goes quiet, you never know who's still awake. We were 13 years old, me, Brandon, and Kyle, sleeping over at Brandon's house while his parents were away for the weekend. Just 3 best friends, a few horror movies, and a big basement to ourselves. Brandon's basement was the kind of place made for sleepovers. Bean bags, a mounted TV, a snack stash in the corner, and that musty old carpet smell that never really left. His parents had converted it into a hangout space a few years back, so there were no windows, no clocks, just the faint buzz of electricity from the walls and the glow of whatever screen we left on too late. That Friday night was normal: junk food, The Grudge, a few jump scares, and laughing way too loud over stuff that wasn't funny. Around 1, we started getting tired. Brandon had 3 sleeping bags laid out on the floor in a row, left, middle, right. I called middle, Kyle took left, and Brandon threw himself onto the right without argument. We turned off the lights and passed around a flashlight for a while, telling made-up ghost stories and trying to out-creep each other. Eventually, the room went quiet, except for the hum of the basement and Kyle's occasional snoring. Sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. That kind of half-sleep where your eyes open, but your body doesn't move right away. I wasn't sure what time it was. The basement was pitch black, and the flashlight had rolled somewhere out of reach. But I could feel it, that eerie awareness that something was different. I listened. Brandon was breathing softly to my right. Kyle was dead silent to my left, and then I realized the floor felt crowded. There was another sleeping bag. I couldn't explain it, but I could sense it just past Kyle, like there was one more body in the row. My heart started thudding. I couldn't remember Brandon setting up a 4th bag. There were only supposed to be 3 of us. I whispered, "Kyle?" No response. "Kyle, dude, you awake?" Still nothing. I turned to Brandon. Hey, Brandon." His breathing paused, then, "What? Did you put out a 4th sleeping bag?" "No, why?" "There's someone else here." That snapped him awake fast. He sat up. I heard the rustle of his sleeping bag. Kyle still didn't respond. Maybe Kyle moved. Brandon said, voice low, unsure. We fumbled around for the flashlight. When Brandon finally found it and clicked it on, the beam swept across the floor, and there it was, a 4th sleeping bag, dark blue. Faded, old. It wasn't Kyle's. It wasn't any of ours. We both stared, unmoving. Then Brandon whispered, "Kyle." We turned the light toward the leftmost bag. It was empty, completely empty. The blanket was still tucked neatly, the pillow untouched, like no one had ever been in it. The flashlight flicked for a moment, and in that brief stutter of darkness, the blue bag moved, just a twitch. A ripple in the fabric, then nothing. Brandon whispered, "Run," and we did. We bolted up the basement stairs so fast we nearly tripped over each other. We slammed the door behind us, flicked on every light in the house, and called Kyle's phone. It rang, from the basement. The cops came an hour later. They found 3 sleeping bags, ours, and 1 we didn't recognize. No one found Kyle, not that night. Not the next week, not ever. His parents said he left home around 10 p.m. that night. He never made it to Brandon's, but we saw him. He was right there next to us. Until he wasn't. It was Jessica's idea to play the mirror game. We were at her house for her 14th birthday. 6 girls, pizza, nail polish, way too much soda. And the kind of restless sleepover energy that always turns into something weird once it is late enough. By 1:30 we had run through Truth or Dare, prank called 3 crushes, and watched half of The Craft before Jessica got bored and stood up like she was about to announce the second coming of the devil. Want to play something real? She said, holding a candle and a compact mirror like props from a ritual. She told us the rules like she'd done it before. Light a candle in a dark room. Stand in front of a mirror, alone. Stare at your reflection and say, "I don't believe in her," 5 times. If you blink, she notices. If you flinch, she gets closer. If your reflection moves without you, you have to end the game. Fast, the goal. Proof she's not real. I thought it was fake. We all did. Jessica's older cousin had told her about it, said her friend played and saw something that wasn't her, then refused to ever sleep facing a mirror again. Typical middle school myth. But it was dark, we were hyped on sugar, and no one wanted to be the first to chicken out. So we played. Jessica went first. She stood in her bathroom, door closed, candle lit. We all waited outside, listening. After a minute, she came out smiling. "She's shy," she said. Next was Amanda, then Lily, then Zoe. They all came out laughing, shrugging, acting like nothing happened. Then it was my turn. I stepped inside, closed the door, lit the candle. The mirror was taller than I expected, full length, with a thin gold frame. It reflected just me and the dancing flame. The shadows twisted behind me. I looked at myself and said it 5 times. "I don't believe in her. I 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 don't believe in her." My reflection stared back. Nothing changed. But just as I exhaled, ready to turn and laugh with the others, my reflection blinked. I froze. It blinked again, slower, longer, like it was thinking. I stepped back. It didn't. It smiled. I gasped, slammed the candle down, and fumbled the door open. The others laughed when I told them, thought I was being dramatic. Jessica said I was just seeing things. The shadows mess with you. It's a trick of the light. But I know what I saw, and I wish that's where it ended. The next morning, we were getting dressed when Amanda stopped mid-sentence and stared at me. "Where's your reflection?" she asked. Everyone looked. I turned toward the mirror, and she was right. I was standing there. But the mirror was blank, like I wasn't in the room. The others backed away. Jessica touched the glass. "Is this a joke?" Then, slowly, a figure began to fade into view. Not me. It looked like me. Same face, same shirt, same hair, but the eyes were wrong. Too dark, too still. And she was smiling. None of us moved. Then my reflection lifted its hand and waved. And behind her, we saw 5 more reflections. All girls, all smiling, all watching. And none of them belonged to us. Miles didn't even want to have a sleepover. It wasn't that he didn't like us. We were his 3 closest friends. But ever since his family moved into the new house, he'd gotten weird, quiet, distracted, jumpy, like he was always listening for something the rest of us couldn't hear. His parents insisted he have company, said he needed to settle in. So he invited me, Connor, and James over for games, pizza, and a night in his finished attic. The attic was strange. Not scary at first glance, just narrow and long, with a low ceiling, creaky floorboards, and a single pull-cord light in the center. The weird part was the crawl space. A wooden panel built into the back wall, maybe 3 feet high, no latch, just a handle carved into the wood. It looked old, original to the house. Miles warned us before we went up, "Don't mess with that, seriously." We laughed, of course, but when Connor jokingly tugged on it, and the wood groaned like a scream, Miles yelled at him, really yelled. Like panicked. That should have been the first red flag. We played video games until midnight, then unrolled sleeping bags. Connor and James passed out first. I couldn't sleep. The attic was too warm, too quiet. Then I heard it. A whisper, faint, dry, like paper sliding against paper. It came from behind the crawlspace panel. I sat up, held my breath, and listened. The voice, if that's what it was, didn't make words, just sounds. Repeating, sliding, scratching at the edges of understanding. I turned toward Miles, expecting him to be asleep. He wasn't. He was sitting up already, staring at the crawlspace, frozen. Miles, I whispered, "What is that?" He shook his head slowly. "Don't listen." "What?" "Don't listen to it." I crawled over. "What's behind there?" He turned to me, his face pale, sweating. "It talks more when you listen." I laid back down, tried to tune it out, but the whisper got louder. Then it said my name, clear, soft, from behind the panel. "Miles," I said, barely above a breath. But he was asleep now, somehow, or pretending. I stared at the panel for what felt like hours. Then it creaked. The handle twisted slightly, like something on the other side was testing it. I sat up again. "Guys." Connor and James were still sleeping. I crawled toward the crawlspace slowly, my phone flashlight trembling in my hand. When I reached it, the whisper stopped. The air felt cold, despite the heat. And then a knock. 3 taps, slow, deliberate, from the inside. My flashlight flickered. The panel creaked open an inch, just enough to see inside, just enough to see. Eyes too wide, too low, blinking. Watching, I screamed. The others jumped awake. Miles ran to the panel and slammed it shut, wedging a heavy chair in front of it. We stayed up the rest of the night with the light on. No one spoke. No one went near it. When I asked Miles about it the next morning, he wouldn't answer. He just said it doesn't want to be alone. Later that week, his mom texted us, "Thanks for visiting Miles. He's doing better. He even sleeps in the attic alone now. But I don't think he's alone. And I don't think it ever wanted him. I think it was calling me." I was at my cousin Alex's place for the weekend. He lived way out in the country, the kind of town where the streetlights stop 3 miles before your GPS does, and neighbors are just dark shapes in distant windows. We were both 15, and sleepovers at his place always felt a little off, but this time, it was worse. We stayed up late watching horror movies and eating microwave burritos that probably shaved years off our lives. Around 2 a.m, we passed out in the living room, him on the couch, me in a sleeping bag on the floor. I woke up to silence. Not the normal kind, the too quiet kind. No crickets, no wind. No hum of the fridge, just stillness. Then I saw Alex, or I thought I did. He was standing in the hallway, maybe 10 feet away, just outside the soft glow of the lamp we'd left on. His face was in shadow, but I recognized the outline, same hoodie, same messy hair. I whispered, "Dude," no response. He just stood there, still. Then he slowly turned and walked into the dark. I sat up. That's when I heard something else, breathing, from the couch. I looked. Alex was asleep, right where I'd seen him go to bed. Still curled under the blanket, still snoring. I froze. Who the hell did I just see? I told myself it was a dream or a trick of the light. Maybe I imagined it. But as I lay back down, facing the hallway, I saw something crawl past the doorway. Not walk, crawl, low, slow. I didn't sleep after that. Just stared at the hallway until morning. At breakfast, I told Alex what I saw. He went pale. Legit pale. Then he asked me something I'll never forget. "When you saw it, did you see its face?" "No," I said. "It was in the shadows." He nodded. I did once, he said quietly. What? He looked down at his cereal. I saw it 2 months ago. Same thing. I thought it was my dad standing in the hallway. But when I turned the light on, he didn't finish the sentence. What did you see? I asked. He whispered. It had my face, but it wasn't sleeping right. I just stared at him. What do you mean? He said, you know how people look peaceful when they're sleeping? This face was off. Like it didn't understand how to sleep. It was pretending. We both sat in silence. Then he added something worse. I saw it last week too, outside my window. Watching me sleep. Now, every time I close my eyes at night, I wonder if something's watching me from the hallway, wearing my face, sleeping all wrong. We shouldn't have done it. We were just bored, 6 of us crammed into Ryan's basement, surrounded by empty chip bags and horror DVDs that barely scared anyone anymore. It was late, probably around 1 a.m. when Connor brought it up. Let's do a summoning. Everyone laughed. But Connor pulled a folded piece of paper from his hoodie pocket like he planned it all along. It's called the triangle ritual, he said. You draw the symbol, light 3 candles. Place something personal in the center. Then you chant 3 times, what sleeps beneath, rise without name. He said it was from some message board, supposedly real, supposedly dangerous. That should have stopped us. But it didn't. We cleared space on the carpet, turned off the lights, and drew the triangle with a marker on an old pizza box. We placed 3 tea light candles at each point and set a different personal item in the center. A ring, a bracelet, a school ID, a phone, and for some reason, a slice of leftover pepperoni pizza. Then we sat in a circle, held hands, and chanted, what sleeps beneath, rise without name. What sleeps beneath, rise without name. What sleeps beneath? The candles flickered. Then the middle one went out. Everyone laughed nervously. Someone whispered, nice timing. Someone else said, okay, that's creepy. Then Ryan's phone vibrated, but no one was touching it. It was lying in the center of the triangle. The screen was black, then it lit up. Just the black background and white text. Thank you. Connor picked it up and dropped it immediately. It's not my phone anymore. The lights in the basement dimmed, not flickered, dimmed. Like something sucked the power from the walls. We tried to blow out the candles. They wouldn't go out. The flames just then away from our breath. Then we heard it, breathing, not from any of us. From the dark space behind the TV stand. Heavy, slow, wet. I grabbed my phone. No signal. Everyone stood. No one moved. Then Ryan stepped into the triangle. I don't know why. Maybe to grab his phone. Maybe to fix it. He reached toward the center, and the middle candle exploded. A gust of cold air shot through the room. Every light blew out. We screamed. Scrambled for the basement door in total darkness. When we finally got it open and bolted up the stairs, the house felt wrong, quiet, like it had forgotten how to be alive. We stayed in the upstairs hallway until dawn. When we finally went down to clean up, the triangle was gone. The candles were still burning, but in a perfect reverse shape. Ryan's phone, still on the floor, still lit, same black screen. But now the text said, one of you stayed behind. We counted, 6 of us. But something felt off. Like one of us didn't quite fit. We still don't know who it was, and we still don't know what we woke up. Sleepovers are supposed to be harmless. A night of jokes and junk food, maybe a scary movie or 2. But the dark doesn't care about intentions, it just waits. These 5 stories remind us that not every laugh lasts. And sometimes the things we invite in, with a mirror, with a game, or with a careless whisper, don't leave when the sun comes up. Thanks for watching Glow of the Dead. Like this video if it made you second guess that next sleepover invite. Comment your favorite story, or the one you never want to live through. And don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying true tales every week. Because in the dark, under the blanket, past the silence, someone might be waiting for you to close your eyes. And not all lights guide you home.